What is going on, guys? Welcome back to our GCSE psychology journey, and today we're going to be looking at addiction. So let's get on it. So what is addiction? Addiction/dependence. Think of the definition for that. So it's a chronic relapsing psychological and physiological condition characterized by compulsive substance use despite harmful consequences. Some of the key features is that the individual has a loss of control over the use of the substance. They have cravings and compulsive behaviors. The tolerance increases, so they need more for the same effect. Withdrawal symptoms when not using, and it is often linked to changes in brain reward systems affecting motivation, decision making, and behavior regulation. What is substance misuse/abuse? Quick definition for that is that it's the harmful or hazardous use of psychoactive substances, including alcohol and illicit drugs, typically without meeting the criteria for addiction. So some of the key features: using substances in a way that is not medically or socially appropriate. This may lead to short-term harm, things like accidents, risky behaviors, impulsive behaviors. It does not necessarily involve physical dependence, and it often stems from social, emotional, or situational factors such as peer pressure or coping with stress. So that's the difference between addiction and substance abuse or misuse. So the ICD and dependence syndrome. What is the ICD? It's the International Classification of Diseases, the ICD. This was developed by World Health Organization, and it is a globally recognized diagnostic tool for epidemiology, health management, and clinical purposes. So the ICD, when it comes to mental health, includes criteria for diagnosing mental and behavioral disorders, including substance use disorders, under the category of dependence syndrome. But what is the definition of dependence syndrome? Well, according to the ICD-10 and ICD-11, dependence syndrome refers to a cluster of behavioral, cognitive, and physiological phenomena that develop after repeated substance use, typically including a strong compulsion to take the substance. So what are the diagnostic criteria for dependence syndrome? Well, a strong desire or compulsion, impaired control over use, prioritization over other activities, tolerance, withdrawal symptoms upon cessation or upon stopping, and persistent use despite clear evidence of harm. So what is the biological explanation? Hereditary factors and genetic vulnerability. Let's look in a little more detail at why addiction may occur from a biological standpoint. So we've got the idea of nature versus nurture, that debate which raves on within psychology. So the biological explanation of behavior focuses on the influence of nature, specifically inherited genetic factors. Genetic vulnerability. Some individuals may be born with a genetic predisposition that makes them more susceptible to certain behaviors, things such as alcohol abuse. We can use twin studies as evidence of this. So identical twins or monozygotic twins share 100% of their genes, while fraternal twins or dizygotic share around 50%. Comparing concordance rates between the two helps to identify genetic influence. Kaiji's twin study of alcohol abuse. So again, this is a study that is important that we know and understand. So the aim of this study was to investigate whether alcohol abuse is influenced by genetics by comparing concordance rates in monozygotic or identical and dizygotic or non-identical twins. The method: Kaij studied male twin pairs and looked at whether both twins in each pair showed alcohol abuse. He compared the rates for monozygotic twins who share 100% of their genes with dizygotic twins who share about 50% of their genes. And what he found was that monozygotic twins had a higher concordance rate for alcohol abuse than dizygotic twins. Remember that concordance rate means that both twins engage in the activity. So there was a higher rate of identical twins who engaged in alcohol abuse than non-identical twins. And this suggests that genetic factors play a role in alcoholism. An evaluation of this study: in conclusion, alcohol abuse appears to have a hereditary component, although genes are not the only cause. So in evaluation, it supports the idea that addiction may be partly genetic. Twin studies are useful because they allow comparison of different levels of genetic similarity. However, twins may also share very similar environments, so the study cannot prove genes alone cause alcohol abuse. And results may lack generalizability because the sample was very limited. What about psychological explanations, so peer influence, so looking at nurture now as opposed to nature? Well, we've got the environmental impact. Psychological explanations emphasize the role of external factors, particularly peer groups, in shaping behavior. So peer pressure and social learning. Adolescents and young adults may imitate or conform to the behaviors of their peer group, especially if alcohol use is normalized or rewarded socially. Modeling behavior. According to Bandura's social learning theory, individuals are more likely to adopt behaviors observed in peers, especially when those behaviors seem to lead to acceptance or status. And reinforcement. Positive reinforcement from peers, so being praised for getting involved in the drinking or taking drugs, can encourage continued alcohol use, highlighting how nurture influences development. Therapies for addiction. It's all about the way that these are treated. So we've got aversion therapy. The definition of aversion therapy is quite simple. Aversion therapy is a behavioral treatment technique that pairs unwanted behaviors, so drinking, with unpleasant stimuli, and the hope is that this reduces or eliminates those behaviors, and it is rooted in the idea of classical conditioning. How does it work? The undesirable behavior, so for example alcohol abuse, smoking or nail biting, is repeatedly associated with an aversion stimulus, so if somebody drinks, it makes them feel nauseous. Over time, the individual begins to associate the behavior with discomfort, and this reduces their desire to engage in it. Effectiveness? Well, it can produce short-term behavioral changes, but it's often criticized for limited long-term success unless paired with other interventions. Some of the limitations of it is that there are ethical concerns over the use of discomfort or even pain to avert somebody from engaging in this substance. And it doesn't address the underlying cause or thought patterns as to why the person may be engaging in this substance abuse in the first place. About self-management programs. So we've got ideas of like the 12-step recovery program. And the 12-step recovery program is a structured approach designed to help people overcome addiction, things such as alcohol and drugs. And it was originally developed by Alcoholics Anonymous and is now used by many groups worldwide. So let's look at those 12 steps in detail. So admitting powerlessness, so accepting that you are unable to control this addiction. Belief in a higher power, recognizing that help beyond yourself can restore you. Turn your life over, so deciding to trust this higher power for guidance. Self-examination, taking a deep and honest look at your behavior. Admitting your wrongs, confessing your mistakes to yourself, others, and to that higher power. Being ready for change, so be willing to let go of harmful behaviors. Asking for help, seeking support in removing your flaws. Listing those harmed, so identifying all the people you have hurt through your substance abuse. Making amends, repairing those relationships that were damaged if possible. Ongoing reflection, so continuing to monitor and admit those mistakes. Spiritual growth, improving through prayer, meditation or reflection, and helping others, supporting others in recovery and maintaining your progress. So there are some strengths to this. So it provides a strong social support network, it's got structure and it's easy to follow. It's also widely available and free. However, there are limitations. So the spiritual aspect, as you saw, there was quite a heavy spiritual element to that, and that may not suit everyone. It's not always effective for all types of addiction also. So as I said, it was developed by Alcoholics Anonymous and is quite successful when it comes to alcohol abuse. It relies heavily on personal commitment, so the individual really has to be ready to change and ready to commit. Alright guys, hopefully that gave you a better understanding of addiction, how it is viewed and how it is addressed in society. Make sure that you guys are rewatching the video, making notes, pausing where you need to pause, making sure that you have liked and subscribed if you haven't already, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.